Hi, sweeties. How are you doing? Welcome to Naya Sim. Thank you so much for the support. Hope you all are doing great. So I came across a video where Afro Latinos were talking about how they are, who they are, and how problematic also being a Afro Latino is, right? And there is one that got me. That is a black Afro Latino. She was like that she has learned to live her true self through black people, that black people are the only people that she has seen that stand, like, they are always standing on business when it comes to where they are from. That is something they do not compromise. And black people, I am sure you know this. I am sure that you all are so proud. I've never seen people that are so proud of where they come from, their skin color, their hair, everything about them. They are, should I say obsessed? They love it. They absolutely love it. And one thing I love so much about black people is the fact that, you see, being natural is something that nobody got to judge you about it, because there are some people, oh my God, Africans really need to wake up. I'm so sorry to say this, but that is the reality. We need to wake up and understand that some certain things that we do are what our colonial masters brought to us, and they are making it look like it is a normal thing. It is not a normal thing. So a very huge shout out to my people. Let's get into this video.
I, as somebody born in Mexico, meaning in a Latin American country, I myself, as an indigenous person, do not care for the word Latino. I don't identify myself as Latino. I believe that using the terminology of Latino is very problematic for indigenous people in the Americas, because whitey people, meaning European descending people that live in Latin American countries, also identify as Latino. And therefore, if I'm also identifying as Latino, also whitey people are, that means they get to be our representation and our voice. And that has been to our detriment of indigenous people of Latin American countries, where also whitey people are. However, both of you ladies are black, from Latin American countries, Dominican Republic to be exact, and you are identified as Afro Latina. Now, how do you feel about that terminology, and do you identify with it?
For me in specific, given the history of how colonization happened in Latin America, it's a term that I battle with,
Yeah.
to be honest with you. But just to make it easier, on people to kind of in their head categorize me, I use the term Afro Latino because, like you said, with colonization, the erasure of native people, native to their land, right? That's one thing, because when people think of a Latina, they think of a Spaniard woman. They think of a woman that looks slightly Italian. Me and Fernanda would not be the poster child for what a Latina is. So we have to put that Afro in there, so when you see me physically, you can register, okay, she speaks Spanish, she's from here, but she's black, just because of the way that we present. But that term in itself is a term that I have to kind of like battle with.
I agree with what you say about the term Latino, so I never felt that that term was created for me or the people that look like you or me. But somehow we are just there now because it's convenient, so it's a great area for me. I even noticed in social media the fact that just because you are not American, there are Black American people that even do not consider you as them. It's hard to understand that there is Black people that speak Spanish too. Like one thing has nothing to do with the other. Like I can see you that you're Black, just like me, but I don't know why it's something there that because you just don't speak English and that because you are not from here, you don't understand the struggles That's the reason why I use the term Afro Latina too, because yeah, I speak Spanish. I'm Hispanic, but I'm also this.
I used to have a problem with the term Afro Latina, even Afro Mexican, Afro Colombian, Afro Cuban, Afro anything. I used to have a very serious problem with it some years back because I realized that black people are the only ones that always have to use an extra word to identify with because they're not allowed or accepted with the terminology that everybody else is accepted to identify with. An example, just the term itself, Latino or Latina. Like I said, I myself don't identify myself as Latino. I completely reject it. I condemn the word. However, I know that society identifies me as Latino because I am, in fact, a person born in a Latin American country. There is absolutely no problem when somebody that is brown, indigenous presenting, identifying as Latino. And there's also nothing wrong or out of place when a white T person of Latin America identify as Latino. Hell, even Asian presenting and Arab presenting people from Latin American countries are just Latinos. But for some odd reason, here comes black folks, and now they are not Latino. Not only that, they are not accepted as Latino. And that is anywhere in Latin America. Let's not even touch, the United States, African American. Meanwhile, white people are just American, right? But let's talk about Latin America. Latin America, all people, doesn't matter. Like I said, they could be Euro descending, Asian descent, Arab descent, indigenous people. They are Colombian, they're Mexican, etc. But then here comes the black people, and now they have to be Afro-Mexican. Now they have to be Afro-Colombian, Afro-Venezuelan, etc. Afro-Latino. I would never dare to tell black people how to identify. If black people say, hey, we're okay with Afro-Latino, by all means, let me get out your way. However, I just happen to note this, I would call, form of discrimination to allow any other people to identify as Latino. But you black folks, you could, but make sure you have the Afro in there. It kind of reminds me, just being honest, it kind of reminds me of some Latin American countries where, black women, y'all can't have Afros. Y'all got to straighten it out and things of that nature. It's almost like, don't disgrace our image with that hair. To me, that's Latinos' way of saying, don't disgrace us coming over here looking like that.
I agree with you, Ricardo. I agree with you because there has to always be an extra stipulation with the skin that we come in, right? No fault of our own. It's one of those things that's a double-edged sword just because of the fact that because of that extra stipulation, you don't get to erase us.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like now it's in your face. Now we are here.
Mhm.
We are here and we are everywhere.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I learned it from the Foundation of Black Americans or African American people here. You know what I'm saying? You take what's meant for bad or what's meant to harm you and you use it to the best of your ability. You use it, you flip it to make it work for you. Although what started as like an exclusion type of label, we're using it to like, no, we're here. We're everywhere. And I see people in the comments, they're saying, oh, in here they're considered black, over in their countries, they're considered mulatto. That's true. Because in Latin America, there is not only the racism part, but there's also a colorist part. The less melanin you have, the more proximity to whiteness that you have, the more palatable you become.
The biggest mistake that we're making right now is confusing the two. Haitian is a nationality, not a race or ethnicity. Latino is an ethnicity. Being that in Haiti, yes.
Latino is not an ethnicity, because if it were an ethnicity, that means that the Black, the Asian, the Arab, the indigenous people of Latin America are all the same ethnicity. Latino is a terminology, an umbrella terminology applied on all the people of Latin America. Let's correct this, please.
Okay, I'm gonna accept part of your premise, and I'm gonna argue.
Go
The
ahead.
difference is, it's not a question of whether we are part of Latin America, but rather whether we are part of a Latin heritage. Being that
I'm not part of a Latin heritage, and a lot of people in the Americas. How so? How so?
You speak Spanish. Spanish is a Latin.
That's not my heritage. That is due to colonialism. Why do I speak Spanish? Is it part of my heritage, or is it the after effect of colonialism?
It's the after effect of colonialism. Agreed.
So it's not heritage.
But that's still part of your heritage.
No, it actually is not at all.
Of course, the reality is, of course, because
how so?
You're from a country that was colonized by the Spanish. Yes or no?
Yes.
Therefore, that is part of your heritage, because somewhere up in your ancestry, there is a mixture there.
There is 0% European in my mixture, ma'am.
There is 0% European in your mixture.
0% in my mixture. 0%. And that goes for a lot of indigenous people in the Americas. We are not mixed with European, as much as people want to romanticize that. That is why it is not our heritage.
Okay, I'm going to accept your premise for your particular self, for you.
But we do, listen, respectfully, we have to correct these things. We have to. Latino is not a heritage. It is not a heritage. It's not a, what did you call it? An ethnicity. It is not an ethnicity. It's an umbrella terminology. That's all it is. But continue, because you were going somewhere that I want you to go to. Go ahead.
You want me to go to?
No, I knew where you were going, and I was with it. I just needed to correct that.
No, I totally understand. And I think that's the biggest issue, is that we have a tendency, and clearly I'm a victim of it as well, of confusing which umbrellas, that a person can fall under multiple umbrellas regardless of their appearance.
Just like hubby right here, right?
Yeah.
Everybody in the world would say, there goes a Black dude. But nobody can guarantee that he's Haitian, Puerto Rican, American, nothing. But we could all guarantee the dude is Black.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
So, and I appreciated that's where you were going. That's why I wanted you to continue that way. I just needed to correct that, because it's problematic to identify Latino as an ethnicity. Very problematic, especially for us as indigenous people, because that is not our heritage.
There's a certain lady that goes to Colombia on TikTok, and she specifically looks for Colombian culture and Afro-Colombian locations. And in her comments, anytime she mentions something Afro-Colombian, you'll get a bunch of white Latinos, and they'll say, Colombia is united. We don't see color.
Yes.
We all eat this in Colombia. And it's so I kind of like the term Afro-Latino for that purpose, to kind of differentiate our cultures, because it's technically not their culture. This might come from Africa.
Yeah.
It might come from our ancestors that brought it here. So it's funny that they always say that they don't see color in Colombia United, but when you go there, you can see the infrastructure in places that are mostly indigenous or mostly Black, and it's not the same. It's not the same as the capital. The Pacific should be rich for its minerals. It's next to Panama. It has so much going for it, but people are dying there. They don't have what they need. A lot of the Afro-Latino women or Black women in the Pacific, they die due to not having what they need when they're giving birth. So a lot of pregnant Afro-Latino women die over there because they don't have the materials they need, and that's racism, because even the highways don't go towards the Pacific to get them what they need. And that's all planned. That's all infrastructure. That's all racism. Sometimes they feel like racism is just you calling us names, but it's not. It's the whole system.
That's the mistake of a lot of people. They think that a slur is racism, when that's just discrimination. That's bigotry. They have no idea that racism is a systemic effort.
Just because of the color of my skin, they want to say, oh, he's not Latin. How can he be Latin? But Latin doesn't have a color. It's my culture that's been influenced by French, by French people, and people that are Hispanic have been, their culture has been infiltrated by people that are Spanish. I am Black by force in the U.S. Like, for instance, Chinese people are called Chinese because they're from China. Japanese people are Japanese because they come from Japan. But where's the word Black on the map? You understand what I'm getting at? I don't mind the word Latino. I don't mind that because my culture is influenced by that.
The reason why we, including you as a Haitian man, why we are titled Latino, it actually does not have to do with quote unquote Latino influence or Latin culture influence. It actually has to do with the fact that we are in Latin American countries. That's literally why in it. Because the reality, actually, claiming that the reason why we are identified as Latino is due to the culture is actually the erasure of indigenous and African culture, because most of Latin America is actually African and indigenous influence culture. The only thing that we actually have that is Spanish influence or European influence is what is obvious, which is our names, our languages, like surfacey things, if you will. See, I agree with this, that what you said, that a lot of people, they see you and they will try to take away the fact that you're Latino because of your complexion or your phenotype, which is true. This is blatant. Haiti is, in fact, in Latin America. Is in fact, and that's why it's so important to understand how and why being identified and labeled Latino works. And it's just the fact that Latin America, meaning Latin American countries, that is how you determine whether you are Latino or you're not. Now, like I said, me rejecting Latino as a terminology, that's my own problem. That's my own issue. I have my reasons. However, if we're going to be technical, Haiti is in fact in Latin America.
Yes.
But it is a whole complete fact that because you look like that, and because of that country is specifically is predominantly Black, all of a sudden, oh no, they are not Latinos. Oh yeah, I know this. I see it. I hear it. They specifically exclude Haiti. Ironically, Dominican Republic and Haiti is the same island.
Yep.
It's the same island. It's not like you have to travel somewhere. It's literally the same island. And yet they will consider Dominicans Latino, no problem. By default, they are. But Haitians, all of a sudden, they are not. Why? Right. Because it is actually a Black country. And that is how Latinos have made the effort to exclude Haitians as Latinos as well. You, whitey people, you Europeans, decided to label this entire piece of continent as Latin America. These are your rules.
Exactly.
These are your rules, and part of your rule is this is Latin America. Okay, Haiti is in Latin America too.
Right.
So now, why are your rules not applying? Oh, right, because they're Black. You said that, why do I have to be Black when the Chinese is Chinese, the Japanese is well, here is where colonialism comes into play, unfortunately. You see, China and the Chinese are Chinese because culturally and ethnically they are, as well as Japan. The people of Japan, the people of China are both the indigenous people of there, and their culture and ethnicity is as well Japanese and Chinese. Unfortunately for us colonized people, Black and brown, we live in colonized countries where we have to coexist with the colonizer and with other people that have immigrated here. You see, we are living in Latin America or the Americas where all countries are colonized by white people. The colonizer is here. There is a such thing as race here. There is a such thing as nationality here. There's a such thing as ethnicity. You, on the other hand, you are Black as a race because that's what you are presenting. Our entire society, when they see you, miran un negro, whether you like that or not. There's no denying it. You see, that's what race is for us over here. There's nothing that you can say. There's no clothes that you can wear. When they look at you, you are a black man. That's how race works. It's what you are phenotypically presenting. However, your nationality, I believe you said you're from Haiti. You are a Haitian, your nationality. Ethnically, you acknowledge that you are a descendant from somewhere in Africa. You are not wrong about that. You're absolutely correct that you are a descendant of Africa. You're absolutely correct that you're Haitian because that's your nationality. Now, here comes the terminology of race and how it works. It's what we are phenotypically presenting. You see, there are people that look just like you that are born in Colombia. There are people that look just like you that are American. But yet, you guys all, if you're walking on the street, nobody says, there goes a Haitian. Not necessarily, but 100%, there goes a black man. And that's what race is. And that's how it works. When they look at me, people can't guarantee that I'm Mexican. People can't guarantee that I'm Peruvian. People can't guarantee none of those things. But what they can guarantee is that I'm an indigenous person. That's a fact. You see? So, esa es como funciona raza. That's how race works. That's all I wanted to say. But go ahead, man.
Naomi Campbell, perfect example. At any given moment, she can say, I'm Asian. She can phenotypically present any way she wants. But if she chooses to say that she is Asian and she identifies as Asian, who can disagree?
That is not how she will ever be identified as. Even if see, I agree.
But what I'm saying, she is Asian.
She could claim to be, sure, if she wants to. But the reality is nobody in this entire planet will say there goes an Asian. Nobody. Ever. She could correct them and say, no, I'm not African. I'm actually born in Asia. Nobody will know that by her phenotype because she don't look like an indigenous person of that land. That's just how it works, man. I agree with you that people can identify however they want, but good luck. Like me, for example, if I were to see you down the street, there's absolutely no way that I could confirm there goes a Haitian. It's impossible.
I get it. I get what you're saying.
There's no way that I will ever say there goes a Haitian or there goes a Puerto Rican, there goes a Cuban. I can't do that. No one can.
I get it, brother.
But 100% there goes a black dude.
I get it because that's because we've allowed what they're doing in the U.S. and across the world, but mostly in the U.S. to put you in those categories. Like when I see you, I see an indigenous man. That's what I see.
Now, but can you guarantee to know where I was born?
But based on your phenotype, I just see an indigenous man. See, indigenous people.
Exactly.
To me,
that's my point. That's what I'm trying to prove to you is that I'm indigenous. But you cannot confirm. You cannot be sure without asking me what country I was born as an indigenous person.
Right, but what I'm saying is when I think of an indigenous person, like for instance, when they say, well, all the Indians are gone, I'm like, no, they're not. They're right here in the United States. They just speak Spanish now. That's what my mind thinks, because you have to, I don't know, I guess I just educate myself enough to know not to put a person in a box based on their phenotype. When I look at you, I do just see an indigenous man. Now, the only issue I have is when people try to put me in a box.
Yeah, the concept of race is literally a box. I acknowledge that that's how it works. I agree 1,000% that we should correct people how to treat us. We should not allow people to value or devalue based on our race. Unfortunately, that's how race works. Race is not necessarily something that you have to claim, but at least acknowledge that you are viewed as in public. You are. There's nothing you can do about it. You yourself, you know for a fact that everywhere you go, people will see a black man.
Yeah.
Even if you say, I don't want to identify as black, that's fine. I will never say you have to. Hey, don't. But do you acknowledge at least that our entire society will see a black man?
I agree.
Race. That's all it is. Nothing more. Nothing more. But anyway, yeah, thank you, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, bro.
a lot of people should say this. I love the fact that everybody is waking up, and now it used to be black people screaming about some certain things before, but now it looks like everybody is all aware of what is going on. Kudos to my people, because you all are the light. I don't know how to say it, but please do not get offended. But the reality is that you all shine the light. You all are light. I mean, a lot of people are following your footprint. So many people. And I am sure you know it, because like, how can you not know? But if you do not know, I am reminding you that you are the light, because how far you all have stood the ground. It is your resilience. It is your boldness that a lot of people are emulating, including me. I am part of it, and I don't ever want to go back. I love the fact that each time I see some certain things about black people, I am like, this is how it should be. And this is how everybody should be standing on business. I have never seen people that are so proud of who they are. Like, very proud. And, oh my God. Thank you all so much, because so many things that I was not so proud to talk about, so many things that I was not so proud to say that I am, or this and all that I am so proud to say now. Oh, I love it. Really. I love it. I love it. I love the fact that you all, set the trend, and you don't send it artificially. Set the trend naturally, and it flows, right? Black people have been screaming about racism, how they've been treated, and how maternal mortality and all that. You see how these people are, before they probably see those things as maybe as something that happens without knowing what was causing it. I don't just now, example, just like I told a story about a lady that I met. She's British, and her parents are from Caribbean descent, right? So we got talking. I met her, we got talking, and she was asking, we're talking about racism and all that. And she was like, then I told her that I am so proud that black people already already paved way for us to talk about some certain things. Because usually there are some things that will happen to maybe an African person or every other person. They may not be able to talk about it, or they may not be able to relate what that could be, right? But now a lot of people can relate. Why? Because you all already shed light to it. So while we were talking about that, and she was so happy, she was like, oh, we had a very great time talking about black people, and her response and everything was just, and she looks, oh my God, her complexion was so beautiful. I couldn't take picture and all that. And she looks exactly like a black, African American. Yeah. So I love the fact that people are beginning to speak up. And one of the ladies said that she is following the footstep of black people, that is being very proud of where she is from, no matter how hard it, sometimes there are some, being black comes with so many difficulties. I am not saying difficult, but it's kind of hard, because everywhere you go, you are black and you cannot change it. And one thing with being black is that you cannot differentiate who is who. That is one of the reasons why I tell Africans that are in United States that it is a huge shame that you all are not in alignment with your own people, and you think you can be in agreement with other people. It's not going to work. Eventually, it is going to worry you people so bad. Why is it going to worry you people? Now, let me tell you something. Once you set your foot or your feet in United States of America, automatically, you become African American. Except for some people, like the Somalians, that you can so much differentiate, from looking at them. I'm sorry to use them as an example, but yeah, you can differentiate them from far away. But that is us. maybe differentiate in them. These people may not be able to differentiate them, right? Because I don't also know if the person is American. But once they see you as a black person, automatically you become African American. Not until they pull maybe your passport or any other thing, or your your license and the rest of it. But aside from that, so for those that have refused, see, I know what I am saying, and I will still say. Now, let me tell us something. In the end, everybody will know that the best thing to do as a human or as a black person is for black people to come together and fight what is fighting them. Is it going to happen? It is going to happen. I don't know how it's going to happen, but that unity will eventually come. So I am very happy that a lot of people are tracing back to their roots and not claiming what they are, because how do you want me to claim like my colonial masters, this, like, how am I supposed to? So back to the root. And a very big shout out to my people, to black people, for setting, thank you so much for always setting the record straight. And the light the light is shining and will continue to shine. More people will get to know about it. So I am going to draw the curtain here, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye for now.